Welcome back to the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path. In the previous chapter we spoke about the abandoning of the arisen unwholesome states. And the Buddha mentioned that his disciple not retain any thought of sensual lust, ill will or harmfulness, or any other evil, unwholesome states that may have arisen. He abandons them, dispels them, destroys them, causes them to disappear. And that's what the Buddha spoke about. So we move on from 5.2 to 5.3. Chapter 5.3. is the section to arouse unarisen wholesome states. To arouse unarisen wholesome states. And the Buddha gives us a lot of detail in this section on how to arouse those unarisen wholesome states, those that have not yet been arisen. Herein the disciple rouses his will to arouse wholesome states that have not yet arisen, and he makes effort, stirs up his energy, exerts his mind and strives. These are the Buddha's words. Simultaneously with the removal of defilements, right effort also imposes the task of cultivating wholesome states of mind. This involves two divisions: the arousing of wholesome states not yet arisen, and the maturation of wholesome states already arisen. 2. The first of the two divisions is also known as the endeavor to develop. Though the wholesome states to be developed can be grouped in various ways: serenity and insight. 2. Serenity and insight. The 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 8 factors of the path, etc. The Buddha lays special stress on a set called the 7 factors of enlightenment. Mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. The Buddha is giving us a lot of knowledge here. The Buddha's really trying hard for us to take it all in. And this is what the Buddha says. Thus he develops the factors of enlightenment. Based on solitude, on detachment, on cessation, and ending in deliverance, namely the enlightenment factors of mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. These are the factors. These are the 7 factors that the Buddha has given us. We are now heading towards a path of enlightenment. The route to enlightenment, the formula, the procedure. The 7 states are grouped together as enlightenment factors, both because they lead to enlightenment and because they constitute enlightenment. In the preliminary stages of the path, they prepare the way for the great realization. In the end, they remain as its components. Components of real realization of true reality. The experience of enlightenment, perfect and complete understanding, is just these 7 components working in unison to break all shackles and bring final release from sorrow. This is a formula towards the final release from sorrow. The emergence of sorrow, the removal of sorrow, and the manifestation of enlightenment. This is a pathway. The way to enlightenment starts with mindfulness. Mindfulness clears the ground for insight into the nature of things by bringing to light phenomena in the now or in the present. The present moment, stripped of all subjective commentary, interpretations, and projections. Then, when mindfulness has brought the bare phenomena into focus, the factor of investigation steps in to search out their characteristics, conditions, and consequences. Whereas mindfulness is basically receptive, investigation is an active factor which unflinchingly probes, analyzes, and dissects phenomena to uncover their fundamental structures. The work of investigation requires energy. The third factor of enlightenment, energy. Very important. You need energy. You need a good body. You need a good mind. You need a clear mind. You can't have it drowsy or dull. You've got to be really active, really energetic about it. So energy shakes off lethargy and arouses initial enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is important here. You need to be enthusiastic about enlightenment. You need to really be happy that you're heading towards being enlightened. As the work of contemplation advances, energy gathers momentum and enters a second stage, perseverance, whereas it propels the practice without slackening. The word slackening. Finally, at the peak, energy reaches the third stage, invincibly, where it drives contemplation forward, leaving the hindrances powerless to stop. To stop it. You want to stop those hindrances in their path. You don't want them to emerge again. Because if those hindrances emerge, they're only going to disrupt they're going to disrupt your progress. And that, your progress is more important than anything else towards enlightenment. Tranquility brings to ripeness. Concentration, the sixth factor. One-pointed unification of mind. One-pointed unification of mind. In the present, in the now. Then, with the deepening of concentration, the last enlightenment factor comes into dominance. As energy increases, the fourth factor of enlightenment is quickened. This is rapture. That's the fourth factor, is rapture. A pleasurable interest in the object. Rapture gradually builds up, ascending to ecstatic heights. Waves of bliss run through the body. The mind glows with joy. Fervor and confidence intensifies. But these experiences, as encouraging as they are, still contain a flaw. They create an excitation, verging in restlessness. With the further practice, however, rapture subsides and a tone of quietness sets in, signaling the rise of the fifth factor, tranquility. And this is a meditation process that you're going through. Rapture remains present, but it is now subdued. And the work of contemplation proceeds with self-possessed serenity. An experience of self-possessed serenity sets in. An experience of it emerges. Tranquility brings to ripeness. Tranquility brings to ripeness. Concentration. The sixth factor, one-pointed unification of mind. Then with the deepening of concentration, the last enlightenment factor comes into dominance. This is equanimity, inward poise, and balance, free from the two defects of its excitement and inertia. When inertia prevails, energy must be aroused. When excitement prevails, it is necessary to exercise restraint. Very important. Very important that when excitement prevails, it is necessary to exercise restraint. Because this state of mind causes you to become excited. The Buddha says you need to exercise restraint from this excitement that you're experiencing. You're getting excited. You're getting closer to enlightenment. And all these experiences can cause you to become very excited. Because you're excited, but you're also enthusiastic. And because of this state of mind, the Buddha recommends that you exercise restraint. But when both defects have been vanquished, the practice can unfold evenly without need for concern. The mind of equanimity is compared to the driver of a chariot. When the horses are moving at a steady pace, he neither has to urge them forward nor to hold them back, but can just sit comfortably and watch the serenity go by. Equanimity has the same onlooking quality. When the other factors are balanced, the mind remains poised, watching the play of phenomena. In silence, in serenity, with a very deep level of concentration. And all this is happening in the now, in the present. And so there we go. I think we'll embark on chapter 5, part 4, which brings chapter 5 to an end. Chapter 5, part 4, to maintain arisen wholesome states, to maintain those states of wholesomeness. Herein the disciple arouses his will to maintain the wholesome things that have already arisen, and not to allow them to disappear, but to bring them to growth, to maturity, and to full perfection of development. And he makes effort, right? Stirs up his energy, exerts his mind, and strives. These are the words of the Buddha. This last of the four right efforts aims at maintaining the arisen wholesome factors and bringing them to maturity, called the endeavor to maintain. Once you're at that level, well then you need to endeavor to maintain that level, sustain it. It is explained as the effort to keep firmly in the mind a favorable object of concentration that has arisen. The work of guarding the object causes the 7 enlightenment factors to gain stability and gradually increase in strength until they issue in the liberation realization. This marks the culmination of right effort, the goal in which the countless individuals' acts of exertion finally reach fulfillment. Finally, you will see, you will achieve fulfillment from this state of mind. It's quite, it's quite an experience. It's quite an experience, experiencing fulfillment. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work, a lot of investigation and energy. The field of factor enlightenment, which mounts in 3 stages. The first, inceptive. Energy shakes off lethargy and arouses initial enthusiasm. That's the first stage. As the work of contemplation advances and your meditation continues, energy gathers momentum and enters the second stage, perseverance, wherein it propels the practice without slackening. Finally, at the peak, energy reaches the third stage, invincibly, where it drives contemplation forward, leaving the hindrances powerless to stop. To stop it, to stop this progress that you that you're experiencing. And the hindrances, they're no longer strong enough to stop you in your track, to stop you in your path, to stop you or hinder you in your progress. Because the hindrances are now weakened because of your effort to weaken them. The method shown by the Buddha in the previous chapter. And so there we go. But once you arrive at that stage, you need to maintain it. You need to maintain the arisen wholesome states. You can't just say, oh, I fulfilled it. No, you've got to sustain it. You can't walk away. You can't walk away from that state of mind. You've got to sustain it and continue your meditation. And this fulfillment that you've achieved, well, you need to continue to honor it. You need to continue to empower it. You need to continue to understand it, maintain it, support it. You can't just do it once in a while and then, I'll come back again. I'll do it again next week. Well, you can't have that attitude. That fulfillment that you've achieved, that state, the level at which you've arrived at, needs to be sustained and maintained with energy, with mindfulness, with deep concentration, and, well, a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed Chapter 5. Chapter 5 was very interesting. Very interesting. Different stages, 4 different stages in Chapter 5. And if you enjoyed listening to this reading, as much as I've enjoyed reading it and understanding it, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, because there's a lot more coming. the entire Noble Eightfold Path. So until next time when we embark on chapter 6, right mindfulness, sama satu is a Pali word for it, and becomes very interesting from here on, because mindfulness plays a very important part in the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Buddha is going to speak in depth into right mindfulness. It's quite a bit involved in right mindfulness. So until next time, have a great day and stay safe.